Are you receiving visitors?
So this is going to be an interesting little test. I'm going to do a rundown today of each of these Warframes. If you've never played Warframe before, it's basically a little showing you of exactly every single Warframe in the game. Now I'm going to do it based on, not on form account, based on the names of the Warframe, alphabetically. So I'll start from Ash going all the way down. So if you're new to a game and you actually want to see a video based on Warframe and which Warframe you should choose after your base initial selected Warframe, whether it's Vault, whether it's Excalibur, whether it's Mag, the next frame thereafter. This is a video about those frames. Now, Vault, Excalibur, and Mag aren't going to be selected in this process because those are defaults. Or actually, they are going to be selected because when you first start the game and you select a Warframe, it may not be the one that's going to be presented in this video. So, actually, no. It's not going to be one that you actually selected. So if you select Mag, you're going to miss out on Volt and Excal. Or if you select Excal, you're going to miss out on Mag and Volt, so on and so forth. So during this process, it's still wild to me that this Warframe is like has an atom inside of her belly, like a baby or something. It's crazy where Warframe has gotten to. So starting from there, we're going to start from Ash first. Don't mind the skin. There are various different ones for this character. I went with this one because this is the type of skin that this has. So yeah, so this is Ash. First Warframe to show up alphabetically is the first one that you will get based on alphabet. So I've subsumed one of his abilities, which was supposed to be like a throwing knives type thing. So let me go to one, maybe B. B wasn't subsumed. Nope. Wait, actually no. So okay, A config was subsumed. Let's go to B and check out B. B wasn't subsumed. So B config wasn't subsumed. Alright, so with regards to this character, we're not going to pay attention to mods, we're going to pay attention to the Warframe. This is the base stats of this very first Warframe under the A to Z alphabetical letters. So we're going to go all the way from A to Z. This is Ash. This Ash is a DPS Warframe, damage per second Warframe. His sole purpose is to kill everything as fast as possible. Ash is not an AoE Warframe. Ash is an AoE Warframe slash single target Warframe as well. So his single target is this one. His single target is this one, where he teleports and do the single target damage. And his AoE, if you want to call it that, is something that could tag every single enemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're up to, I believe, as many as possible can be tagged by this Warframe by a 72.5 meter range. It doesn't matter where he is or where you're going, as long as within that range. So the further the range and further the distance, the more damage you could do, or the more enemies you could select. So this is a range Warframe, as well as this is a single target Warframe. So if I decide to give it more range and give it more damage, since this is a DPS Warframe, and give it more range, it doesn't really need he doesn't really need shields. More range, and give him more power, range, power, range. So give him more power. Let's say give him something stronger to intensify. Give him this. That will lower the duration, but this Warframe is really not that much about duration. It's more about power and range and damage output. So I'm gonna keep the power here, keep the power here, and see if I could give him more range, or if not more range, give him more power. I'm gonna give him even more power and see if I could put on arcanes so he could keep getting more energy, so he could keep doing his special abilities. And since this is a melee warframe, this is not just a range warframe, this is a single target damage per second melee warframe. His blades are his melee centered. It's best to select an arcane related to melee damage. Now it all depends on what you're doing. Like for instance here, augment the amount of strength damage you do with your powers. Eventually your strength will increase, so this is good. But if you're doing pure melee damage or weapon damage with a character, then you would go for this. But if your damage output is from your powers, then that's a totally different thing. So I'm going to include this. So this is just one build. This is not the build. This is just a build. This is a generalized build. So that's that. And this is Ash. This is the base powers of Ash. He does Shuriken, he does Smokescreen, he does Teleport, and he does Blade Storm. Now you can increase Smokescreen in order to make yourself even more invisible for a longer period of time. But that solely depends on how long you want to stay invisible. Longer than 10 seconds, longer than 12 seconds. It really depends. This Warframe can be used to take care of enemies in extermination. This Warframe can be used for doing rescues. You just increase the amount of duration for this Warframe in order to see and do executions with regards to extracting an enemy, such as increasing the continuity sections. So if you're trying to do duration build, you would just remove the strength and you would add another duration in relations to that. So let's say just for this, I add durations, and now you could do smoke screen. You get at least 2 more seconds for smoke screen. But for this video, and for all videos related to all Warframes, since this is a rundown of every single one A to Z, this is basically, I got to make this as fast as I can because there's a shit ton of Warframes. So that was Ash. Now I'm going to use Ash in combat. So remember this. These are the Ash's abilities. Shuriken, base ability. Single target. Smokescreen, go invisible so they don't see you. Teleportation, teleport, kill. Single target. Tag ability. You tag every enemy within your range of your powers. 87.5, which is 175 range. Tag every enemy using this power, take it off, they all die. So that's kind of like AoE. So this is mostly a single target enemy. If you don't want a single target Warframe, I wouldn't go with this. But if you're looking for damage per second, and you have someone on your team that could buff his strength ability from 170, I would go with this. Now I'm going to test this out in combat, and I'll remove the setup for this. And I'm going to try to move as fast as possible because sometimes my network goes up, sometimes it goes down. So this is Ash. Ash will be tested now. We're moving forward. Next after that will be Atlas. Next after that will be Banshee. So on and so forth. Real quick mission. Quick submission possible. Let's go to random place. Any random place. Well, it's never good to use a character that you want to test out on random enemies. So let's play steel path enemies, and we'll go steel path enemies, let's say in Plains of Eidolon. So they will all be 110 to 130 enemy strength level. And for this test, we'll probably be here or any place where there are random enemies. I'm going to do about 5, probably like 3 minutes of description per each Warframe type, 3 to 5 minutes of description for each Warframe type, and about 3 to 5 minutes of battle combat using their powers. So about maybe 10 minutes per each Warframe. And you could decide it based on the performance of each if it's worthy. Okay. What the hell? I can't roll? What's going on? What happened to my rolling? That's sprint. Okay. Alright. Alright, so this is Ash. That's Shuriken. Shuriken on 100 enemies. This is smoke screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, and yeah, about 20, 21 seconds. So 20 and 21 seconds at... Okay, it says 17 point duration is about 12 seconds, but I counted like 21 seconds. Alright, let's try that again. Smoke screen. That's Ash. Okay, we're now going to use the fourth ability of Ash. We're going to find a group of enemies. Never mind, this takes too long. Takes too long to find enemies, so I'll go directly into a combat scenario. A fissure mission. The hell's going on with my controls? It doesn't roll when I want to. Okay. I'm gonna go into a fissure mission.
As you conquer the foe, so you conquer yourself.
Fissure missions are fast, they're quick. I can execute what I need to execute fast enough. So far, 3 abilities were used, need to use the 4th. This is a Warframe best used for exterminating enemies all quick at once. If that's what you're looking for, I would suggest going for this Warframe. Unfortunately, this is mainly a single target Warframe, so if you're surrounded by AoE enemies, you're kind of screwed. Mobile defense should be fine. No, actually, bad idea. Let's look for termination or rescue. That'll work fine. 100 to 129 level enemies. If my network goes down, I'll just continue the video again with another one. But part 2, part 3 till I'm done with all the Warframes. Okay, so continuing on forward. Fourth ability is this. See, when their body's like this, it tags them. You just have to run away from them, and then you let go of the fourth ability again. So you turn on the fourth ability, an invisible version of yourself automatically, like a silhouette version or a hologram version of yourself, based on your power strength, kills the enemy. Even though you're not within the location. Let's say you're hiding behind this wall. If you tag them and then you hide behind the wall. You hit the power button again. Your camouflage enemy or your camouflage Warframe or your silhouette Warframe kills them, depending on your power strength. So he's a very handy Warframe, especially when you're trying to be stealthy. At the same time, you're trying to keep your Warframe alive. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. I'm running away. They've all been hit. Do it again. All of them tagged. Do it again. See? That's him. That's him. There he is.
I will not forget this, Tenno.
There he is. He's jumping at them. He's hitting them. Unfortunately, with your power strength, they don't die quick. So, that fourth ability is like a backup. It's not a guaranteed kill. It's kind of like an assist towards your power strength. I mean, towards your survival. It's kind of like a distraction or decoy. While they're hit by the fourth ability, it's a good decoy to help you to either run away or to finish them off if you haven't done enough damage. So that was basically Ash in a nutshell. Very good Warframe. Very good DPS Warframe. Not the best, and definitely not the one you will want if you're surrounded by enemies. An AoE frame is more needed. He's more like the guy that you would use on your team when you want to kill everything. When you have someone buffing him with power strength. Because if you keep using the fourth ability over and over and over again, and you have more than 300 power strength, and someone's constantly giving you energy on your team, that's the guy you have in your team. A Trinity gives him energy, he used a fourth. A Harrow gives him energy, he uses fourth. He's basically a killer, a hired killer.
You strike to win.
Next will be Atlas. This is Atlas. Atlas, unlike the previous Warframe, is not a single target Warframe. It's more like a crowd control Warframe and a single target Warframe. So I would say, is he really crowd control? Let's see. His ability, landslide, single target. Tectonics, blocking bullets from hitting you. It hits more than one target, but it goes in one direction. It doesn't go in many directions. Petrify, single target, in an arc around him. If you increase your range, it goes from what's directly in front of you to what's to the left and to the right. Kind of like single target. So he is a single target. Another single target. Rumbler creates like 2 different Rumbler next to him. A Warframe also based purely on power strength. Another single target, and I'm going to show it as well. So all depends on what you're looking for. Single target, real beefy frame. This is a tank frame in comparison to the other one. That other one was DPS. This is a DPS / tank frame. That one is more of a killer, does more damage. This one is kind of a milder killer, but is more based on survival. So based on it being tank, I'm going to go with this, what I already have on. So that being said, I'll test it out in combat. You could decide for yourself if this is your cup of tea or not. I'll pick random different missions. They don't all have to be the same. I'm gonna go with Exterminate, Steel Path. A lot of people love this frame because this frame does something that no other frame does. He does a punching ability, like a combo punch ability at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you keep hitting his first ability over and over again, like button mashing it, he keeps doing it. I'll prove it using the enemy.
Let's go.
But first, let me give myself some energy. First ability, Landslide, coming up. Just need an enemy. I hit him. Have to be within range. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first ability. I just kept pressing the first. He keeps doing the combo. And he would have kept doing it if there were more enemies. He could go all the way from here all the way over there, depending on range. The longer the range, the faster he would go from all the way over here towards the enemy and charge. And if there are multiple enemies within the vicinity and you keep pressing A and turning the camera, he goes to each one of them. Very interesting. Like that. That's first ability. Second ability is the wall. The wall can be used to knock over an enemy or to block bullets.
Let's go on the offensive.
To hide behind it. Of course, as you can see, that doesn't work when stuff like that happens. So, kind of pointless to the second ability. If you choose to subsume that ability, I would suggest go with that one to subsume. Third ability. Third ability is what you see right there. Based on the range, all three of them, regardless if they're level 100, are now frozen. I could basically sit down and eat lunch, or do a dance, and wait for them to get out of their frozen state. Okay, but I don't want to hold these guys up, so I'll head to extraction. So fourth ability is coming up.
You exist to strike. You strike to win. The lesson ends.
As long as you have more than 100 power strength on your third ability, enemy could be 100. Basically, the best way to know how to do freeze enemy for a long time is power strength 100 equals level enemy 100. It could freeze up to level enemy 100 and higher if your power strength is beyond 100. So you could stand there all day and wait to be frozen. So, fourth ability. Now I use the fourth. Find another, exterminate. Exterminate is fast, rescue is fast. What else is fast? Capture is fast. So those are the ones I'm going to be using for the example for every single Warframe. Just to see their abilities. No defense, no survival, none of that. Those take way too long. That was Ash, and this was Atlas. Atlas, fourth ability. Just need a little bit of energy, just a little. And then with that, two big guys pop up. And their strength is based on your power strength. So what you want to do to defend them and make them stronger is to use your third ability. By using your third ability and cast it on both of them, their armor on their bodies thus becomes stronger. because what the third ability does is freeze an enemy. But if you're using your power on these big boys here, and you use your third, you're now hardened their bodies, which is already made out of rock, even harder. That's another interesting technique about this guy. That's pretty badass. You can make your buddies that are assisting you in combat harder. Now this guy is purely based on duration as well. The fourth ability is based on duration. So eventually, 59.63 duration. It's almost a full minute for this, based on my duration mod I have on. So a full minute assist with regards to backup will be helping you in mission. Now, if they get killed by the enemy, it's whoopsie daisy. You will have to cast it again. The fourth ability is solely as a distraction for the enemy. They're not really strong enough to kill the enemy. They're there as an assist. The same as Ash's fourth ability is there as an assist, his hologram or his mirage killer. The same as this. This is more of a better assist though, because they're actually physically going to be running next to you within range, or they'll charge towards an enemy to assist you in combat. And you can make them stronger before the duration runs out, which means if they're taking heavy damage, all you got to do is run up to them, use the third ability, and then Bob's your uncle, their skin gets stronger. So that's the fourth ability of Atlas. We'll move on to the next Warframe after this. Should be Banshee. Very interesting Warframe Atlas.
Ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
Another thing I like about this game is that players don't have to wait for you, especially if you're talking a lot or doing your own thing. The extraction is happening at this very moment. So in like 20 seconds, it will extract whether I reach extraction or not. So this game doesn't wait on you, especially if you're AFK. It will do its own thing and proceed forward. As long as there are two people at extraction, it will extract everyone all at once. See, before I even got to extraction. That's another beautiful part about this game I like. It doesn't wait on anyone, you know. Like if you're the guy that just AFK everyone and holding up the team, this is not that type of game. It'll extract everyone, including you. And it'll be your fault if you didn't do anything in the game. Alright, moving on from that one. Next up on the list is Banshee. One of my favorite Warframes, and it all depends on you. It really all depends on you. For this one, I'm going with this skin. And this is Banshee's ability. First ability. It's called... actually, I think I might have replaced her first ability. Rebuild shield. Yep, I replaced that. Okay. Let me go back. What configuration is that on? It's on configuration A. Let's see. Configuration B. Okay, so configuration B has her actual abilities. Actual abilities is Sonic Boom, Sonar, Silence, and Soundquake. This is Sonic Boom. It says what it says. Emits Sonic Blast, Shockwaves, pushes target within range, forced enough to kill them or at least to incapacitate them. So range is 21. Let's see what my range mods are. Range is 145. That's fair. 145 is good enough for defense and for mobile defense. Not for like extreme long range combat, but at 145 this is decent. So this is decent. So let's see. This will probably push enemies away. Another thing to remember in Warframe, everything is based on AoE or range of attack. So the closer an enemy is to you, closer the likelihood that they're going to die. Further they are from you and they're hit by your powers, most likely that they won't die because there's not enough force within the atomic bomb. Boom! It explodes like an atomic bomb. Boom! Whoever is further away from the bomb takes less damage. They take the radiation effect, but they're not vaporized in an instant. If atomic bomb is the best use of words to describe it, or any bomb. Whoever's in front of a shotgun automatically dead. Whoever's standing like probably a block away is probably going to feel the gun, but they're not going to die. They'll have to go to hospital, so on and so forth. That's the logic of this. Sonar is the same thing. It says what it says. It identifies where the enemy is, expose critical weakness on their body. That's why this is one of the best frames. By using sonar, you could then point out what part of their body is weak and where your gun needs to aim in order to kill them fast. This is a unique thing toward this Warframe. That's better than Atlas and better than Ash, because not many Warframes have. In fact, I don't think any Warframe has this, or maybe one other has this, that it could actually tag the part of their body where the weakness is to kill them fast enough. So that's one thing Banshee has that's very different from other Warframes. Sonar, or should I say silence. Silence is kind of a crowd control ability that kind of affects the enemy's eardrums in order to like give them a type of pulsating nausea. And it says what it says. Stun enemies and will limit their perception and tactical response with gunfire and Warframe's attack. So when they're trying to fire, it would stun them in their perception of where the Warframe is going to shoot them. They might not be able to get a good lock onto the Warframe because this is active. That's what silence does. So it silences whatever is the Warframe's gunfire is firing from, so they can't lock on. And this is where the Warframe is firing from. That type of logic. And then of course the fourth ability is exactly what it sounds like, or exactly what's inside of the image itself. It does a quake ability that it pulls a shock wave, like a pulsating wave, into the ground and create an earthquake from the ground. So if your enemy is standing about a foot away or 100 feet away, they're going to feel shockwaves in the ground that's damaging their feet. Like I said, same as every Warframe. The further you are, the less damage you take. The closer you are to her, the more damage you take. We'll put this into effect in the mission right now. Her second ability is so badass, man. It's like it could tag enemies to see exactly where their weaknesses are. We'll pick anything. Let's go. Send off. Sure. Invasion. Sure. I'm gonna pick. What are you offering me? Oh, no. Okay.
I'm still detecting a lot of infestation activity. Let's clean it up. A juggernaut nearby? It will only attack when it senses high concentrations of infested blood. Slow the fight if you want it to go away. That did it. Here comes the juggernaut. You have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
Move and strike. We have to win this. Let's go.
Another job well executed.
Okay, so in this next one, I'll just do the fourth. Those were the three, and this will be the fourth. I'll do the fourth ability.
I'm detecting infested biosignatures all over the place. You know what to do.
Oh, he left? Okay, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. I thought it was my network. I think he just bounced. Yep, that happens sometimes. So sometimes you have to deal with that. Sometimes you have to deal with that. 1 minute you could be in the mission, and as long as the host decides to peace out, he just goes right back onto your ship. So I'll have to find another. I can't do that on dark days. So all right. Well, I have to do this anyway, so might as well do this. Arcane sabotage. Sure. Archon sabotage. The only problem this is, I believe this is long. I wanted to make it quick. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I should just come back. I'll come back. Do this on my own time. These missions are typically long. Those are specific missions, and they're typically very long. I need something real quick because I have tons of Warframes to go through. Okay. Another relic. Defense, exterminate, cross. Yeah, crossfire. Okay. Sure. And after Banshee, there should be the next one after that is Baruch. So what do you learn about this Warframe? This Warframe is based upon range. This Warframe is based upon crowd control. This Warframe is based upon identifying the enemy's weakness, and you could shoot it with a gun. This is an assistant Warframe, an assistant crowd control Warframe. It assists your fellow Warframes to tag and see where the enemy is, and also to find their weak points. This will be a very helpful Warframe for those who actually want to kill enemies much faster by identifying their weakness. However, this is a squishy Warframe, so you will have to beef this Warframe up. The weakness of this Warframe is that it's squishy. So your sole purpose is to make this Warframe stronger first, and then use your powers thereafter.
Let's go.
You have collected enough reactant to open your relic.
I believe this is one of the most beautiful Warframes, simply because second ability just identifies their weakness, and all you gotta do is just hit that weakness. And as you're running with your third ability on, whoever's you run towards that might be hiding behind a wall waiting to ambush you automatically get like sickness from the third ability silence or stunned. So before they could get a cap off, you could catch them while they're slipping.
You have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
Fourth ability. The bad part about the fourth ability is that it does one thing. As you can see, that's the bad thing about it. You cannot move out of where you are. So if an enemy decides to shoot you from an extremely long range, you're dead in the water. That's the sucky part about her ultimate ability. She cannot move. So a lot of people don't like that. That's why a lot of people don't rock her that much. That ability only works when you're doing like defense target protection work. Mobile defense and defense. So as an all-rounder Warframe, she has her limitations. But she has one very good ability, and that's her second. Depending on my network. If not, I'll pick this up tomorrow and continue the rest of the Warframes. So hopefully things go well, and I might be able to get to at least my fourth or my fifth Warframe. If not, I'll just pick this up tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, when my network is not acting up. So, that said, moving on to the next, we are at Baruch. This is Baruch. This is Baruch's first ability, which sucks, or is actually good, depending on who you are. If you're playing by yourself, and you're not in a group of anyone, the first ability is very good, because anybody, anyone, any enemy that's right directly in front of you, and you would use your first ability, all the bullets, all the bombs, everything goes straight through him, like he's a ghost. As long as he's facing the enemy, and they're facing towards him, the bombs and bullets will go straight through him. Whatever the projectile is, whether it's a lasers or a bullets or a firing grenade, it'll go straight through him. Yeah, but The problem is that it's a forward ability, which means if someone's shooting you from the side, you're screwed. Okay, second ability, Love. Sounds exactly like what it is. It puts a lullaby on the enemy, puts them to sleep. Its range is not that great, but it's effective. It's not better than other Warframes range, but it does do the same thing other Warframes do. However, you have to get close enough to the enemy to do the lull, or you have to increase the range. So the range of the lull is not that great. The best part about this Warframe is two abilities, his third and his fourth ability. Those are the best part about this Warframe, so it solely depends on you. Desolate Hands. It says it right there. And this is based on range. So this is a range Warframe. And of course, the most OP of them is the fourth ability. So this is a great Warframe with regards to single target. Single target. Crowd control, not single target. Single target. Or, wait a minute, let me see. Is this single target? Summon a beef of enemy. Guns destroying them with a small explosive. Yeah, single target. Because it doesn't go after everyone. You have to be within the range of your enemies. Even if they're around you, you have to go towards them. And then it becomes multiple targets when you see more enemies. And of course, also single target. So this is basically generally a single target enemy Warframe. Not mainly for crowd control, more single target. So his punches are forward punches, single target. If you're in the way, you get killed. So it's not really for AoE. I'll show all the abilities and what they could do. All depends on you. Out of every Warframe, this Warframe's fourth ability is probably the most OP. So if you love killing things more than Ash, I would say this is the Warframe you want to go to. If you love killing things more than anything, this is a DPS Warframe. So this is one of the most powerful DPS Warframe. He's basically like a martial artist, and he uses fists in order to kill his enemies. Basically, you could call him Five Fingers of Death, if anyone knows what that reference is. I call this dude the Five Fingers of Death. Or the White Lotus Chief himself. Everyone knows that reference will know who I'm talking about. Okay, so let's pick something fast. Or rescue, disruption, spy. Let's go capture. That's weird. Oh yes, these are all syndicate stuff, so they'll all be in the lower. Alright, no, rescue, okay. Yeah, he's one of the most powerful Warframes in the game. He's really like a kind of like a god killer. If you get his fist up to like ridiculous dangerous levels, you know, he's like a god of death. His hands are like registered deadly weapons. Like if you could max it out, if you could keep buffing and keep building on stacks on top of stacks on top of stacks, eventually he'll just red crit everything and start killing everyone. So first ability.
Hurry up. You are running out of time.
I thought I was gonna die in there. Thank you.
Okay. So first ability is on. It's slowly but surely draining my energy.
Give me a weapon and I'll watch your back.
They're facing towards me. I'm not getting killed. That sound means that their bullets are going straight through me. I'm not taking any damage and I'm not dying. However, AoE does work on me. That's first ability. Second ability is to put them all to sleep. He's asleep. Critical hit. Sleep, sleep. It takes a while for the sleep to take effect. So unlike other Warframes where you could just do the sleep ability, it takes a while. They have to literally, you have to wait. That's the sucky part about that. Then they go to sleep. See how that works? I would say his first and his second ability aren't that great. His third and his fourth are the best. As I keep using my different abilities, that little fist that you see in the lower right corner keeps shaking. That's his rage meter.
Fought well. Good dance.
So I cast my first, I cast my second, I cast my third, and the more I keep building up that rage meter, the more it keeps building. It goes all the way into a full circle, and his fist starts shaking. Once his fist starts shaking and it's in the full circle, it means you could now use your fourth ability to kill enemies quicker. But the best part about that is that you never have to use your fourth. You could just keep stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking it until you decide to use it. And then when you decide to use it, then you unleash it on the enemies. And then, no matter how strong an enemy is, they all get killed. So I'll try it on random enemies within Fortuna. Or I hate using locations like this because actually, you know, there's not a lot of enemies. Let's try. No, spy is terrible. Actually, you know what? Let's try a random location. Let's try exterminate. Exterminate. Oh no, wait, that's terrible. That's terrible. Because that's underwater extermination. I haven't finished this yet, or this. Okay, sure. Invasion, sure. What do I need? Twin Vipers? Sure. Fourth ability is the last one I'll use. Things are fast in this game too. If you pick extermination, rescue, or capture, it goes fast. You won't even be able to use all your abilities in the mission because everyone in the mission are killer. They're killing everything. So you might not even make it to your fourth ability as a demonstration.
To enemy operations is here. Find them and capture them.
First ability. Second ability, go to sleep.
For the tenor. Move and strike. We have to win this.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno.
I will consider what I've learned from this skirmish. Come on! Attack us and we will counter.
Now, the best part about it is you don't have to wait for his rage fist to come up. You could do it at any time, especially if you're in a pickle, like now. Look how much damage he's doing, like 10,000. You keep building that bad boy up, it'll go beyond 10,000. And he doesn't even need to be touching the enemy. He just needs to shoot it out of his hands.
Let's go on the offensive.
Just like Atlas' first ability where he could do combos. You could do combos with his fourth ability as well. So that was basically Baruch in a nutshell.
Let's go.
Pretty badass. You get that thing up to red crit level, it doesn't matter who's standing in front of you, whether they're more than level 100, more than level 200, more than level 300, they're dead. Alright, next Warframe. I believe they have one more Warframe in the bees. Or maybe it's time for the seas. Maybe it's time for the seas. Lots of Warframe, lots of abilities, and very important to describe them each. Especially if you're looking for a preferred one. That's preferred for you, your fighting style, your interest. So, seas, Caliban. This is Caliban. This is wait. Gyre. I guess it is. Okay, Razor Gyre. First ability. Says it right there. This is a Warframe where you have to hold down in order to initiate certain specific abilities. I would suggest going with a specific button for anything that has to represent holding down. Because if you press an ability, he'll just press the ability itself to do the ability. But if you press the hold down button, it will accelerate that ability, as it says here, becoming a spinning vortex of death, holding down the R2 to accelerate the maelstrom, increases damage, or target an enemy by tapping the R2 to dash forward. So it depends on which button you want to have as your R2, or if you want to keep R2 as R2. So you could either hold down on R2, or you could switch off the buttons in your config buttons. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to use the R2 by holding down on it. So that's the first ability. Second ability. First ability is pretty okay, especially if you're in a pickle and you need to knock enemies out of the way that are in your path. I would say it's okay. Second ability, I would say, is pretty damn good. As the description, it will tell you exactly what it does. So this is based on range, it's based on duration, and it's based on status effect. It says it right there. It doesn't really kill them. Its sole purpose is to knock them into the air, and thereafter damage will accumulate over time. Or you could kill them the moment they get lifted into the air. Amplified damage by going up into the air, landing on the ground. Very unique ability. It basically hits them, damages them, but the moment they're lifted into the air and they collapse on the ground, they take more damage. Very strange ability, but I like the fact that you could just get them out of the way. That's the sole purpose of this ability, is to just get them out of your way if they're in your way. Third ability. This is the one that's interesting. So different sentinels come to his aid. I believe you could have a maximum of 3 or 4 of these things. But it solely depends on, I believe, your power strength. However, they do multiplier abilities with regards to health and damage. So this is the best part about this ability, is that your health is multiplied and your damage is multiplied. I believe when they're doing damage to the enemy, they're also your health is also multiplying with regards to them doing damage to the enemy or something like that. Or maybe your health is just multiplied and damage is increased towards their damage as they're doing it. So I believe they're both synergy though. So this is the great part about this Warframe's abilities, that you have, unlike Atlas, you have backups with regards to his summons. And his summons actually have effect other than just to be brawlers and to knock enemies down with powers. Their effect is that they give damage multiplier and health multipliers. That's the power of what they do. So you're not just getting one thing by casting them and they're being very strong and they kill the enemy. You're also getting another thing back in return as well. So you're doing two things. You're doing damage and also you're getting health. So that's the great part about the third ability and fourth ability. So this is a Warframe where 2 out of its 4 abilities are viable and very interesting. Its fourth ability is also very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Converts 3 streams of raw ray energy upon single point. There's no ray here. Raw energy upon a single point, causing a massive reactive blast. The fallout from the blast will strip the armor and shields from all enemies that touch it. Okay. All right. Haven't used that a lot. Fallout from the armor. Okay. So I rarely use Caliban, so I haven't really tested out that fourth ability. So let me go and test it out right now. But before that, let me look at it again. How much will I be stripping? Damage, 5,000 damage. Duration, 23.25. Debuff amount, 50% debuff towards the enemy. Very good. Can I increase that? Let's look at it. I'll take this off. And I'll take this off. And increase this. Let's see what happens. 65. Let's get that up to about 100. If I can make it to 100. $92. Okay, for 92, I can live with that. 92. No, I can't live with that. Let's try something special. Try this, which will lower this. Don't like that. And let's try this to give me more energy, even though it's at 75. And let's put this on to give me more energy as well. And let's do this, since powers equate to more damage. And whatever's here, we'll put, let's say, sure-footed, so I don't get knocked down. Dreamer's Bond, squad, energies, blah 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 blah, energy. Do I really want that, or I want to increase more of my strength? I want to increase more of my strength, so that. Okay, so moving forward. All right, so Caliban. . 'Cause Pick a mission, real quick mission. Get this Warframe done as quick as possible. Blah 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 blah. Must pick a fissure. No fissures. Closest thing I could find is crossfire. Sure, why not? Four abilities, two most effective, two not so effective. Feels more like three are real, but I believe two are the most effective out of the four.
Your target is the reactor. Your target is the system mainframe. Deliver the payload.
First ability.
Relax, child. You
Second
won't
ability.
promise.
Second ability is kind of amazing, even though I think it really depends how you use it. So, in all truth, three abilities are good, but it's more like two. But it all depends on who you are. I would say for me three ability of this Warframe are good. But most people say maybe two are good.
No time to ask questions. Destroy that thing.
First ability, second ability.
You need a new approach. You're not making a dent.
fourth ability. First. Second.
My siphon! My Kuva! You're messing up all my plans. I don't like it. Not one bit.
Good work, Tenno. We need to do everything we can to stop the Queens from gathering any more people. Target destroyed. Proceed to the extraction point.
Alright, so that was Caliban. I would say all in all, this Warframe is, I would say mid-level. Its fourth ability, even though it's awesome, is you really have to be in a specific position in a specific moment to affect enemies. Otherwise you can miss your target, or if you do get target, you don't damage the target completely. So mainly it's 2 out of his 4 abilities work, second and third, and sometimes the fourth, or depending on who you are, third and fourth, and sometimes the second. Alright, so moving on from that, next C Warframe, Chroma. This Warframe has been debuffed and buffed and then debuffed again. So he is the most DPS Warframe. Now he's like probably the 4th or the 5th most DPS Warframe. Maybe the 5th. Could be he's the 6th now. Regardless, this Warframe, actually no, he might still be the 4th or 5th most DPS Warframe. His sole thing is to buff your team with regards to armor, or with regards to damage per second. So this is his first ability. He does a spectral scream that damage enemy in front of him, single target. He walks forward. He could turn to the left, turn to the right, but is still aiming towards a single direction. Second ability, Elemental Ward. It has various different buffs depending on the color choice you chose for this Warframe. So if his energy, because there's a specific energy that you could choose with regards to a Warframe, and it's located within your Warframe's And it says right here under appearances, you can press under appearances, and under appearance you select energy. Once you select a specific type of energy for this Warframe of a specific color, like electricity usually represented by blue, toxic is usually represented by green. Yeah, toxic is usually represented by green, so on and so forth. But well, wait a minute, no. Emissive. Okay, so it's not energy, it's emissive. Sorry, emissive is the color. So they changed it from the energy to emissive. So if emissive is blue or emissive is purple, usually you will get electricity. Or let's say emissive is red, you will get fire because fire represents red. Or if emissive is, say, white, you will get ice because ice is represented by blue and by white. I believe blue also represents ice as well. Yeah, I think so. Blue represents ice. No, blue also represents electricity. Okay, so ice is represented by white. Let me see, black. What is black? I believe black is ice as well. Yeah, so black and white are both ice base. So by selecting the type of color for your emissive, and you have your second ability, you then go on to your second ability and see under that description of what that second ability is. Since you've chosen to take a color that represents ice, you will now be doing what that second ability represents for that color choice. So your color choice was either white or black, so you're now going to be doing color damage of ice or cold. So what are the benefits and damages with regards to cold? One, your benefit is that you will get 308 armor percentage. Two, you will also be doing 6.38 damage multiplier with regards to your powers. It didn't say weapons. Or maybe it means your overall damage is 6.38. And of course, you will also be doing a status of 53% status chance with regards to your Warframe damage and weapons. And maybe on powers as well. So that's that. So this is very good. Cold is very good. Toxic is very good. Electricity is very good. And heat is very good. These are all different abilities that Chroma carries with him with regards to the type of enemy he's going to be fighting. So this Warframe is still very good and is very helpful, especially if you're looking to fight various different enemies. Whereas other previous Warframes that I showed within this video, they're unable to switch up their powers with regards to the enemy type that they're going to be fighting. Chroma has that unique ability that he's able to switch off his color type to represent the type of enemy he's going to be fighting. So if your enemies are going to be pure flesh type, you could go for toxic. If your enemies are pure robotic type, you could go for electricity. Your enemies are pure type that will get frozen easy, you will go or become sick, you will use cold. Or if your enemies are susceptible to heat and heat damage, such as also machines as well, if they stay out in the heat for too long, or their circuitry can be fried, as well as human beings as well. If you do heat onto a person, his body starts to fry and then his health goes down. So heat is mostly for taking away an enemy's health, and toxic basically is for killing them with regards to disease or infection. And of course, cold is basically to slow them down or just to freeze them in place, and electricity is also to stun them, as well as to make sure they cannot aim properly with regards to you. So those are the various things that Chroma has with regards to his abilities. Now the third ability is Vex Armor, that allows him to buff up his armor for the type of color choice that you've chosen for your second ability. So if you chose cold as your second ability, not toxic, not electricity, not heat, once you cast your third ability, it would act as a buffer towards your second ability. So it says it right here, Chroma fortifies squad armored when his shields are damaged or he kills an enemy with a melee weapon. He increases squad weapon damage when he loses health or he kills an enemy with a ranged weapon. double the effect on weak point kills. So the moment he's killing enemies, the moment he's damaging enemies, your squad members get a buff with regards to every enemy he kills. So every time he uses melee weapon, he increases his squad's weapon damage. Every time he either loses health of his body, or when he does weapon damage with regards to his weapon. So he's doing a buffer. And the buffers are represented right down there. It says armor increase of 743, damage increase of 584. So even though the first one is all about your Warframe, the second one is about buffing everyone else. So the first one is to help yourself, and or should I say the second ability is to help yourself, and the third one is to help your teammates. So armor buff, damage buff, boost per melee kill. So you will be boosting your team's armor by 31% every time you do a melee kill. And every time you do a range kill with regards to your projectile weapons, both from your pistol or from your primary rifle, also get 31%. So it's either increasing their armor by doing melee damage to assist your fellow teammates, if that's what you want to do, you want to make sure they stay alive, or increasing their damage output with regards to their weapons by also shooting enemies instead of doing melee. So it's a very interesting Warframe. Fourth ability turns into wait, what does it says? Turns his pellet into a massive sentry and strengthens nearby allies and engulf enemies in elemental attacks. So I believe the strengthens nearby allies is something that happened later on in the game. I don't remember his fourth ability ever having the ability to strengthen everyone. I believe that might have been something that was present last year or the year before when I first started to play this Warframe. I don't think he had the ability to do that, so that's a great thing. His fourth ability is able to strengthen your nearby allies if they're close enough to it, and also to engulf enemies in elemental attacks, depending on the type of elemental you have on your second ability. So it's going to cast cold on them, it's going to cast toxic on them, it's going to cast electricity on them, or it's going to cast heat on them, which is flame. So this is fourth ability is what I would call his assist ability. It's not a guaranteed to work all the time. It's more like if I need an extra body, I would put it out there just in case. However, the problem with this is it drains per the second. So I would only use this fourth ability as needed. I'll test this out in combat and move forward. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I probably won't be able to do every single Warframe within this list today. Tomorrow might be able to have to continue the rest of it because it's a lot of Warframes to cover. I might only be able to do about a good 10 of them today, and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow I should be able to finish it up. But it all depends.
A juggernaut nearby.
So first ability.
It senses high concentrations of infested blood. Slow the fight if you want it to go away.
Let's go on the offensive.
I'm still detecting a lot of infestation activity. Let's clean it up. That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside. The Juggernaut.
Second ability has been cast.
Good work.
Third ability has been cast. So when I'm near my allies and I'm using the melee, they're gonna get armor buff. But if I use a rifle or pistol, they're gonna get damage per the weapon that they're using.
The enemy is broken. Well done. Now get to extraction.
Attack us and we will counter.
The game has a nice indicator like to tell you when your power has come off by making a specific sound. And every time your power goes off, the sound effect goes off with it. So you know when you're supposed to cast it on and remove it thereafter. So that was his first, second, and third ability. You couldn't exactly tell when it was on or not, because it's very fast. This is a buff Warframe. His sole purpose is to buff others, to buff himself and to buff others. The damage he does is through his weapons, not through his powers. And the same goes to his fellow allies. The damage that they do with their weapons is through their melee and their guns, not through their powers that he buffs. His sole purpose is to buff the team. So that was his. I have to switch off. I believe his A ability is. I'll put this as his A ability, just to make things easier on myself. Alright, so now for his fourth ability.
Look at this. A dreamer sleep stumbling onto my Kuva siphon.
Move and strike. We have to win this. Attack us and we will counter.
No time to ask questions. Destroy that thing. Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno.
What a waste. lovely energy. Every particle counts when we're making Kuva.
Let's go.
No! Listen, if you let the Kuva cycle get damaged again, I'll grind the lot of you into miniature dumplings.
Let's go on the offensive.
You useless balls of festering flesh. You let them destroy my Kuva cycle.
Good work, Tenno. We need to do everything we can to stop the Queens from gathering any more Kuva.
Come on. For the Lotus.
And that's the fourth ability.
For the Tenno.
Mission complete. The captive has been escorted to the extraction point.
Generally speaking, this is a mid-level Warframe. 2 abilities are good, 2 abilities are not good. Best abilities, second and third. Worst abilities, first and fourth. So if you're choosing various Warframe and say, well, which Warframe do I want to pick after the beginning I started the game called Warframe, after my initial Warframes to pick, should I go for that Chroma guy? Well, this is the video for you to tell you whether you should go for a Chroma guy or not. 4 abilities, 2 work, 2 not so much. Maybe you shouldn't. Next Warframe. Citrine. Abilities. Here are the abilities. First ability. Says enemies, not enemy. Multiple. Guard ability. Crowd control. Crowd control is right here. Guard, allies, crowd control here. Let's go back to this one. Citrine guards. Duration 25 seconds. Damage reduction 90%. Very good. Damage reduction per kill 7%. Damage reduction assist based on, what do I have on her? Based on these mods. Remove these mods. Let's see what an empty slot Warframe. 1%. 3%. So this is if you had those Warframe. This will what be her base 1%, 3%, and base of 40%. Duration will be 25%. 50 energy is required. 25 energy is required. Best abilities, I would say best abilities will be third and second. Now let's look at the fourth ability. Summons crystal forward seeking enemies. Enemies touched by the fragment, paralyzed and crystallized. Fourth ability is also good. I would recommend only using this when you know that you're surrounded and you have to find your or assist a Warframe that's about to die. Basically, you use this to hit all enemies. Now, it seems to be only an ability that goes in one direction, which kind of sucks. It's not a 360-degree thing. So, forward enemy, multiple targets but in a single line, many targets regardless, 360 degree. Buff all allies regardless. Single forward targets. So 2 single forward, 1 all around, and 1 everywhere. So all around, single, single. Let's test this out in combat. I believe 3 out of her 4 abilities work. So she's a little bit above mid. Now the only way to see if this works is to test it in combat. Now this is a Warframe without any mods on her. I chose the one without mods on her specifically. So let's see how she do against level 100 plus enemies without any mods on her with 1% damage.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
So what this little crystal does is basically increase damage over time. So depending on the damage amount you put on your Warframe, for this Warframe, it keeps hitting the enemy over and over and over with crystal blasts. And the damage increase over time. And the enemy takes more damage over time.
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
So it's not just a standard like cast this ability and then it shoots out rays at enemy. What it's doing, as you see those light going from them towards the enemies, actually doing damage over time. It's not just using rays of light, crystal light, damaging enemies. It actually is doing more than that, as the ability basically says.
Come on.
So that's basically it in a nutshell. It's doing multiple different type of status damage onto the enemy. Depending on the enemy type, it afflicts the enemy with the type of weakness that enemies supposedly have on them. Or I could be way off and it's doing the whole shebang,
We will counter.
which is sick if you think about it. Because it's not just doing the damage for the weakness of that enemy, is throwing additional other things at the enemy as well. And if you look at the third ability's status type, it's 100% duration and 130% status chance. That is insane. And I believe I have this on no mods on this Warframe. So with no mods on, it's at 130. I could be wrong. This could be a modded one, but I'll have to go back and check. Because it doesn't allow me to actually check my mods on while I'm in combat. I mean, think of how bananas that is. That crystal is basically doing all type of damage towards the enemy that are more than 100%. Toxic, fire, electricity, all in one are more than 100%.
Let's go on the offensive.
But just to be clear, it's all status damage effect. So if the enemy is wearing armor, you know, and the status effect can't go through the armor, it's up to you, the Warframe, to puncture their armor so that the effect of the crystal take effect onto the enemy. So in other words, you got to do your job in order to help Mr. or Madame Crystal do her job.
Attack us and we will counter.
And of course for like guys like stalkers or like acolytes and stuff like that. If you're fighting a boss and you use your fourth ability, the fourth ability is self-explanatory. It freezes them. Obviously it won't freeze boss, but it'll take significant amount of damage. And of course, look at the critical chance. Critical chance of 300%. So it's obvious what her most powerful abilities are. They're her
And strike. We have to win this.
They're her second, third, and fourth. Second for buffing allies and assist with killing, so that they could have damage reduction and help your allies. Third, for doing ridiculous amount of status on the enemies. And fourth, with basically to have a godly amount of critical chance. So she has three very powerful abilities. And only one substandard ability, which is her first ability. So this is a A-class Warframe. If you have three Warframes where three abilities are great and one is off, it's still an A-level Warframe. But if you have a Warframe where all abilities, all four are off the charts, then that's like a S-level Warframe, S-class. Because all four abilities are viable in combat, regardless of what type of combat you're doing. So this is like A plus to I would say Citrine is like A plus to a S tier Warframe. And if you could increase her critical chance and status chance to even a more godly amount, then she's S class. I would come out and say it right now, she's S class. Hands down, she's S class. She's a great AoE defender and assister.
grows greater. This is good.
Alright, so the next Warframe after this, after Caliban, Chroma, and now Citrine, will probably be a D Warframe. I don't remember any Warframe which starts with the letter D, to be honest with you. Alright, so Daggett. There is a Warframe that starts with D. So, first start off Ash, Atlas, Banshee. We made it to Baruch, Caliban, Chroma, Citrine, and now we're at Daggett. Ash is good DPS. Atlas is also good defender. Banshee's kind of mix of both. Baruch is very, very good. Caliban is okay. Chroma is also okay, and Citrine is very good. So in the whole slot of all of these, I would say these two are the best so far, Baruch and Citrine. And of course, Banshee is very good depending on who's using her. So it all depends on what you're looking for within these Warframes so far. But now I'm at Daggett. It's strange that it's all been more than an hour and 30 minutes to do this, but it's very hard to describe what these things are, these Warframes are, and then do them in combat to show them as proof of how their abilities work. So I'm going to try to move a little bit faster. You could read the description here if you ever watch this video, and it'll tell you exactly what it does. So I'll leave it here for a couple of seconds, and maybe about 10 seconds per each of these, and then I'll do them in combat. And based on the description of each, you could decide for yourself which is best for you. But I will highlight every now and again how it works effectively in combat and how it doesn't work effectively in combat. Or I will state exactly how and what does work and what doesn't work. Okay, so the first thing to know about this Warframe, most of the cast viral damage on enemy. As it's stated here, casts viral damage, and it's stated here, it also does critical damage as well. It doesn't say critical chance, it says critical damage. Because critical chance allow you to do critical damage. So if your critical chance isn't up, the critical damage, when you do the critical damage, isn't going to guarantee them to die. And also condemn nearby enemies to their doom, so on and so forth. Also viral damage, and of course more viral damage. So let's say your enemy is resistant to viral damage. This Warframe won't be that good. So who are the enemies that are weak towards viral damage? Enemies that are made out of flesh. Enemies that are purely made of flesh, or hard enemies that have armor on. That flesh are underneath their armor. So if you're talking about robots or sentients, then this won't work on them. Any enemy that's wearing an armor type, a soldier, a Grineer, a Corpus, or a Corrupted, yes, it'll work on them. But the moment a robot pops in, it won't do that much damage towards that robot. The effect that's attached towards viral is going to be doing the damage. So viral is basically, I believe, toxic and cold. So the only thing that will affect the robot will be the cold section of that status type, not the toxic section of that status type. So that's the issue with regards to this Warframe. So I'll just do the powers, and I'll use it against non-enemies that she's weak against. Let's go with, why not, assassination. This video is not for me to decide, you know, to tell anyone this is the Warframe for you, this is the Warframe not for you. This video is for you to see for yourself how the ability works and what is for you or not. Or whether you like the Warframe based on their performance. That's the A ability. It shoots off like shurikens in all directions.
What was I thinking? I never should have put my food
Try that
in
again.
charge of something this important.
The enemy was there, it shoots off towards him.
Let's go on the offensive.
That's the A ability. So depending on where you're facing, if you move left, right, no matter where you're facing, it will go towards that enemy in that direction. This is the second ability. And the second ability is what it states here. Boom, or doom. Condemn nearby enemies to their doom. A portion of the damage dagger deals is revisited upon them. So, viral damage. She cast it like a throwing knife or something. It's very much like Necros. It hits them, but there's no guarantee that they'll be dead, especially if they're not made out of flesh or half flesh. Like that little roller ball right there. Won't affect them as much. This guy, yes. So first ability, not so much. Second ability, also not so much. See, it's upon him. It's affecting him because he's a person underneath that armor. How long will it take? Let's try it again. He's taking 700 and change. Then he's dead.
My siphon! My Kuba! You're messing up all my
Sticking
plans. I don't like it.
still
Not
on
a
him.
bit.
Now he's dead.
You've destroyed the Queen's Kuba siphon. We can't allow any of these to survive.
So first and second, not really so good. Let's look at the third.
You have loyalty issues, Tenno. My Zanuka program will fix that for you.
Brave Spirit. Supercharged daggers weapons by extra critical damage.
Zanuka is your future, your destiny.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
Good.
Target acquired.
Third ability, good. But, as I said before, if you don't get a good critical chance off on them, the critical damage will do that towards the enemy, but it doesn't guarantee death.
Let's go.
Now for fourth ability. Third ability good. Fourth ability. Let's try fourth ability. Fourth ability is a trample ability. You summon horses and they all charge towards an enemy and trample them. But think about that. Like if the enemy is like Super Saiyan level and you use a trample ability on them, if they're strong, it won't kill them. So this is I would say this is anywhere from mid-tier to low-tier Warframe. Two of the abilities are good for two out of four. I would say 2 out of 4 works. So it's anywhere from mid-tier to low-tier. It all depends on who you are.
Assassination contract complete. Great work, Tenno.
You may actually love to use the fourth ability all the time, just to trample enemies down that are in your way. And the third ability just to put critical hits on your weapon so you could do more damage. Perhaps you're the type of person that love to play just using your melee and your weapons without using your powers. This will be a perfect Warframe for you, just to cast your third ability and just to use your melee weapon and your guns. Because that's all she does. She just boosts them up to a ridiculous level. Alright, so that was Daggett. Next Warframe. Ember. This is Ember. Ember is a fire Warframe. Her sole purpose is to cast fire on the enemy. If you're made out of flesh, you're donezo. If you have armor, you're infested, you're donezo. Because what are infested? Flesh-based enemies. Doesn't matter how hard their armor are. Underneath all that armor is mass and flesh. So she's basically designed to kill infested and kill enemies that have flesh. So fire. First ability. Cast it towards the enemy as a single target projectile. Single target. Second ability. Immobilize. Immolation. Protect Ember with flame armor. Burn stronger over time. Basically, it's an armor buff. Third ability, Fire Blast. Should be self-explanatory. Shows her right in the image. It shows it right in the image. Also, it says something else as well. Slams the ground, create a wave of incinerating plasma that knocks back enemies and strips their armor. So, as you can see, there's like a little scale to the side there. As you do it, it keeps going up. It all depends on immolation meter. So, immolation. This synergizes with this. So it depends on your immolation meter. And you can, I'm assuming you can increase your immolation meter based on power strength. So let me try that. I'm going to make her power strength, let's say, just for this test, 214. Immolation meter stays the same. So anyone says, oh, you can increase your immolation meter. I just increase her power strength, doesn't do jack squat. Damage reduction 50 to 90%. Drain increase 3%. Let's see if we could increase our damage reduction. How we do that? Let's increase our armor. Let's say it's not power. Let's say it's armor. Let's try more armor. Let's go with this. Let's see what happens. Immolation meter 46 to 90%. Let's try a different mod. And same thing. So armor nor power strength increase immolation meter. Now let's try one other thing. Range. Let's increase the range and see if our immolation meter increase. (46 to 9%). So range does not increase immolation meter. So neither power strength, armor, or range increase immolation meter. Let's see duration. Does duration increase immolation meter? Duration does not increase immolation meter. So it looks like the immolation meter and the damage reduction stays about the same regardless. So I'm going to just put on more power strength simply because I can and I want to. And I'm going to keep my duration where it is. I'm going to look at it. Oh, well, you look at that. It went from 50 to 90 with power strength. So the damage reduction increased per power strength, but the immolation meter does not increase. So let's try Blind Rage again. $15 to 90. Let's try Blind Rage and Transit Fortitude and see what we get. Inputs. Nope. Still. Okay, so let's say the duration and the power strength work together with regards to this. Let's say that's the case. And we're going to use that logic. Alright, so if that's the logic, let's go with more duration then. Let's go with, it could fit there. Let's go with that. Nope. So more duration doesn't do anything. More range doesn't do anything. Power strength, however, does something. And it makes it go up to, you know what, let me try more power strength. Even more power strength. Let's see what happens. 278. Still stay at 50 to 90%. So let's try to get it all the way to 300 then, baby. Let's see what happens. I'm not going to remove this. See where else? Transit, Blind Rage. What else giving me power strength? Oh yes, this up to here. We're now at 293. Let's see what happens. Still at 50 to 90%. So that's as far as it could go with regards to power strength. So my suggestion is remove this. Remove this. Let's test it. Emulation meter will still stay about 50 to 90. You do not need Blind Rage, which means you could save your efficiency. And range is not a factor with regards to emulation meter. And of course damage reduction. So you got to remove that as well. So now you can have your range back, and you can put back on, oh, you can put back on this. And then you could increase back your duration that you had before even more to get you back in the good. And of course put back on your regular vitality, and of course adaptation if you don't want to put rolling guard on. So that's that. And now we'll test this Warframe out in combat. Now I already know what the fourth ability does, so I'm not worried about it. The fourth is a good ability. It's fine. It's not the best. It's good. The best ability is the second and the third. That's why I was trying to get the immolation meter to rise up. And if I couldn't do it, I tried to get the damage reduction to rise up. So second and third synergize together. So first, second, with defense toward myself to protect myself with more heat.
Coolant cell destroyed. reactor is going into stasis. Now is your chance to complete this sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again. You have collected enough reactant to open your relic.
As you can see, as long as I have on the second ability, the heat from keeping it on for over a period of time, the immolation meter increases, the meter starts to increases, and the Warframe starts to overheat. Very cool Warframe. Because the game is kind of being realistic with regards to this Warframe.
As
The
you
longer
conquer
it keeps the
foe,
heat on this body,
so you conquer yourself.
the longer the body starts to overheat and boil to a certain point. And eventually, the effect of it reaching its boiling point, it starts to affect the Warframe. It also increases its damage, but also increases the Warframe's taking damage, I believe. So let's look at that again. The immolation meter is 0.5%. It's very slow, but as long as you keep it on, and as long as you're doing various different fireball ability, it slowly increases every time you use an ability. Let's say you use your third, let's say you use your first, let's say you use your fourth. Slowly but surely, the immolation meter of this second ability increases over time. It says here as well, consuming energy once its meter is at full strength. Cast again to extinguish the flame. So, protect Ember with flame armor that burns stronger over time, consuming energy once its meter is at full strength. Okay, I like that. I really do like that, actually. Now, I thought about it before. I never realized that before. It only consumes energy once the meter is at full strength. Because once it's at full strength, it's like basically Ember is almost invincible. Because she's fully protected by this flame. And it's ridiculously hard to kill her. So slowly but surely, the energy is consumed in order to try to cool her down. So the energy is kind of needed as a capacitor to cool her down, because the heat is fully protecting her from any damage type, which makes perfect sense. That's why he says energy increase per second is 0.1, and the energy to cast ability is 12.5. So it's not taking a ridiculous amount of energy just to use the ability. It's going to just consume a lot of energy, or consume 0.1 energy over time once it's at its max capacity. So it's not drained over time. It only is drained over time once it's at its max capacity. So its second and its third ability are its best, and its fourth ability is the third best. So this is anywhere from mid-range to an A-class Warframe. I would say this would be a B plus Warframe. So I'll use a fourth ability on a random enemy. Let's say I'll do some random mission. Nothing special. And I'm going to do something real quick. A rescue. No. Yeah, I'm going to do a rescue. Something really quick. I'm going to cast the fourth ability. So to give people a clear definition of what type of Warframe they want best within these videos. So I'm not like beating around the bush. I'm being very specific about certain things. It's not a complete showcase of everything. It's like a brief showcase. Like I did a showcase video for all these Warframes before. But this is a brief description. First ability cast, Fireball. Second ability cast, to increase the meter. To increase the immolation meter, so that she could have protection, heat protection, like armor of her body.
Attack us and we will counter.
The immolation meter goes up in time, over time, and the more you use different abilities,
Not a minute too soon.
it goes up even faster.
I need a weapon. The relic has been cracked open. Finish
The
your
best
mission to
part,
find out what's
the best
inside.
part, the second ability, which gives you the armor buff of the heat, doesn't really start draining a lot of energy until it's at max capacity. And of course, this is the fourth ability, which is a barrage of fireballs from the air smacking onto the enemy in all directions. So it's like a 360 ability. It doesn't guarantee the enemy is going to die, but it's guaranteed it's going to have a heat effect or cast upon the enemy. So it's not just, even if they don't die, they receive a heat effect damage or status heat effect damage.
It is done, Tenno.
So this is a very good Warframe, but I would consider this Warframe to be like a B+, depending on this ability. Its second ability is pretty much sick. It allows you to stay alive longer in combat. There are Warframes like Baruch that can do almost the same thing, but Baruch's whole thing is that he can only use his first ability to make bullets go through him if the enemy's in front of him. Ember's abilities, you turn on second ability, is protection all around. So moving on to the next Warframe. And this next one will be Equinox. So let's see, how many have we done so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I believe I should stop here, and I'll continue tomorrow to do... How many Warframes are there? There are about 50 of them. So I should get to at least 15. Yeah, I'll do 15 each day. For the next 3 days, I'll do 15 Warframes abilities. So yeah, I'll go on to Equinox, and I'll do Equinox. But then again, depending on what I have to do today, I'll stop at Equinox. So I do have other work I have to do. So I'll stop at Equinox today, and I'll continue tomorrow. So this is Equinox. Equinox is also a very unique Warframe. Could be the second most unique Warframe of all Warframes in comparison to our current Warframe, which is oh, I forgot her name already. Jair. No, not Jair.